Hey, I'm attorney Haitham Amin. Today I'm going to teach you 12 steps on how to deal with a police officer and avoid getting shot and killed. Step number 1, do not run away from the cops. Whether or not you're innocent is irrelevant. Also, this is especially true if you're in a high crime area. Running away from the cop give them suspicion that you have committed something wrong and you have something to hide. Step number 2, avoid any and all sudden movement. No matter what you're doing when you're contacted by a police officer, it's important to remain still. Any sudden movement is one step closer to you getting shot and killed. Step number 3, make sure you keep both hands visible at all times. If you are driving, make sure that you are holding the steering wheel with both hands. Don't make any sudden movement. If you are required to produce identification, make sure you notify the officer verbally that you will be reaching into your pocket or glove compartment before you actually reach in and grab your wallet. For example, officer, I have to reach into my right-hand side pocket to grab my identification. Step number 4, if the officer uses force against you, it's important that you don't use force back. And that means don't touch the officer, don't beat up the officer, and don't resist the officer. It's important for you to stay alive to tell your side of the story and potentially pursue any legal action against the officer for using unreasonable force. Step number 5, do what you're told and do it slowly. That typically requires you to put your hands behind your back like this or face down on the ground. Step number 6, make sure not to resist the handcuffs. While it may be uncomfortable to have really tight cuffs around your wrists, it is important not to struggle or resist the handcuffs. That would only increase your chances of getting shot and killed. Step number 7, do not speak more than you have to. It's okay to remain cooperative, but make sure not to volunteer information, and always exercise your right to remain silent. Step number 8, avoid using humor. Humor is subjective, and while it might be funny for you and I, the officer might misinterpret what you think is a joke and justify the use of lethal force against you. Step number 9, no matter how crazy the situation may seem to you, no matter the motive behind why the officer decided to stop you, whether it's racial profiling or racism, it's important to remain calm. Step number 10, be respectful. And I know this is difficult, especially when you're being racially profiled, but it's important to use words such as ma'am, sir, officer. That way you guarantee or lessen your chances of being shot and killed. Step number 11, refrain from making any form of a threat. Threatening the officer will only make things worse for you. Step number 12, ask the officer if you're being detained. The officer must answer that question. And if the officer says you are free to leave, respectfully walk away. Follow these 12 steps, and there's a high likelihood that you'd live another day to tell your story. By no means do I support cops, but we have to do something to start saving lives. Being the only person that's advocating in the courtroom on behalf of the accused is a humbling feeling for me. I believe in the tenets of the Constitution, which is innocent until proven guilty, and that carries from day one until the trial date.